Welcome to the M.O.B Basketball Podcast, aka the M.O.B Podcast. I am Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this is our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, analyze players and teams from the previous games of the previous day. First off, how are you, Ja?
I'm chilling like always.
That's good. I'm good as always. I would like to mention something that we didn't mention in yesterday's pod, which was we gave our condolences to the Casey Jones family as he passed away 2 days ago. For all of you who don't know who Casey Jones who Casey Jones was, which I'm sure a lot of you don't know who he was. He's a Celtic legend, a Hall of Famer. He won championships as a player and a coach, 8 championships alongside Bill Russell in the 60s, right?
Yeah, in the 60s.
And he was a head coach of the Celtics in the 80s and won 2 championships with Larry Bird. So condolences, Casey Jones, a legend and a Celtic great.
Yeah, synonymous with that culture up in Boston.
Mm-hmm. But all right. I hope everyone's having a good day. I hope everyone will have a good day. It's Sunday, so rest up, get your body ready, and listen to us as we talk basketball. So let's jump right into it. There was 3 primetime games that was on last night. And first off, let's go about the end of all the primetime games, which was the Rockets and the Blazers in a overtime thriller. The CJ Harden duel, along with Christian Wood and Dame and Nurk. And this was just a great game. Back and forth. It felt like NBA was back. This was the game that felt like, NBA was really, really back.
Yeah, for a game that didn't have Wall, Cousins, or Eric Gordon or whatsoever playing, it was a really good battle between. It was like a whole team effort. But let's just be honest here. It was the CJ show. It was the CJ show all the way. He was just on fire. He was gunning from everywhere. He was ISO ball, stepping back. He hit 9 threes in the game.
Yes.
He was just owning the court. And when you look at the Rockets side, for all the people who was on Harden a little bit, talking about hey, going out to the club and out of shape, missing quarantine or whatsoever. This is what he do. He don't need no talking about practice. He talking about practice. He don't need that. He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine over to the playoffs. But as you're saying,
Why would you say that?
Harden is an elite scorer. We all know this. Come on, Harden is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen play. Mm-hmm. He's just that nice. And not only can he score now, but over the past 5 years, you've seen his passing ability.
Yeah.
And you've seen his defense get better. But as you was going on, CJ McCollum, I mean, just putting on a show, step backs, going into the paint, jump shots, fadeaways, it doesn't matter. He was unstoppable. 9 threes. It was ridiculous. And this is why sometimes I get really upset with CJ because he has a tendency sometimes to just be inconsistent during certain stretches, whether certain stretches of the game or certain stretches of the season. And I get so upset because he's so talented. Yeah. He can really take over games at certain points. We've seen it in the playing game against the Grizzlies, how he just made Ja Morant feel like a rookie. And you saw it in the Denver series 2 years ago in Game 7. And he was just lighting Denver up. They couldn't stop him. So
he hit the game dagger.
Yeah. So I love seeing the CJ McCollum, but it just makes me more upset when he doesn't show up and when he's inconsistent and he misses his shots. Because when we see that CJ, the Blazers, it's hard to stop them. Exactly. Because Dame is still Dame.
Yes, and this is the reason to why I have them as my dark horse. This team is just deadly offensively. Mind you, let's give credit to Nurkic. Nurkic in the beginning of the game was just absolutely balling, being a big body down the
clean up. You clean up.
Yeah, he was just doing everything on the boards. He was doing everything, being a big body, getting putbacks. He was just doing all of that down there in the low block. But what makes this team deadly is that you have 2 players in that backcourt that could give you 50 on any given night. And when one is not working, the other's working. And when the other's not working, like they just feed off of each other. They just feed off each other. And mind you, they even said it. Dame had a quiet 32. He had a quiet 32. And yeah, he was, and don't get me wrong, of course his efficiency wasn't there, but he was still doing what Dame does because this is what we expect him to do.
Oh my!
And
Did
this is
you
the
see
reason
the
why this.
layup that he had in OT? Just
Yes.
ridiculous, acrobatic. Put up the footage. Put up the footage. Pull up the footage. He's the layup. He's just like he's so close to touching the ground, but he somehow got it off. It
Yeah.
was so beautiful. And Dame's just his
Exactly.
skill is unmatched. We
Yeah.
see why he's just a top player in this league and why he's one of the best point guards of the past decade. Like he's just so skill worthy and his offense is just unbelievable.
Exactly.
As
But
for
also, oh my bad.
no, I was gonna
Sorry.
say
Go on. No, I was gonna say anything. I forgot.
no, you didn't forget.
I forgot.
All right, whatever. Um, I was gonna say that like I was kind of upset with Terry Stotts towards the end of the fourth quarter because I wanted CJ to take the ball instead of Dame. You know,
Yeah.
like because CJ was hot, he had a high hand, he was feeling it, he was in his bag, and usually they give the ball to CJ when he's like that in the fourth or whatever, or late in the game. But instead they had Dame take it, and he took a tough shot and he missed. I can't
Yeah.
be that upset because they gave the ball to Damian Lillard. So
Yeah.
how upset can you be at that?
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with it. As long as the ball is in one of those two stars' hands, you can't go wrong with that. You can't get upset. You know who they are. You know what they do when it comes down to moments like these. You just can't worry about that.
Hmm?
But I do understand where you're coming from. I do agree. But hey, they made it back up in the overtime. They made it back up in
Yeah.
the overtime.
Real quick about the Rockets. I want to say something about Christian Wood because you see, has tons of potential. I remember me and you was talking about him during the quarantine or whatever because he
Yeah.
had COVID. So we was talking about him, and he's like a young Iguodala. He really is like a young Iguodala who does all the dirty work, can clean up. He's athletic, and he can
Yeah.
shoot better than Iguodala could shoot.
Yeah.
So he's just a really fun player to watch, a really good, skilled young player. And the Rockets should really keep him, unlike Detroit, who can't do anything right.
Well, yeah, yeah. Christian Wood, like man, like when they traded, I seen a little bit in summer league one time when he was in the summer league, and then I seen him on Detroit, and he was so good, but yet when you're playing behind somebody like a Blake Griffin or Andre Drummond who plays the similar position as you, it's hard for you to get time. But the moment they trade away Andre Drummond, you seen him make that leap immediately to get his name put out there in terms of the NBA notice. And
Mm-hmm.
people saw the star potential media. I feel like this dude has an ability to be an all-star down the line, of course. And just like you said, he has all this raw potential. He just got to get it more polished, but he's going to be really good. And especially he's playing on a playoff team now. He's going to be really a big contributor for that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's all think that needs to be said about the Rockets. That was James Harden's season opener and the Rockets season opener, and you saw that James Harden is still James Harden. Rumors are not, and he's still balling. But nonetheless, a good win for the Blazers after coming off of that bad performance against the Jazz. All right. Next up, talk about the first game of the night, which was the Grizzlies and the Hawks showcase between two young rising stars in the league, or star in the league, between John Morant and Trey Young. And this was a good back and forth contest. It looked like in the third quarter the Hawks were pulling away, but then Dylan Brooks and the Grizzlies, they came back and they got back into the fold. Then the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, the Grizzlies couldn't really close, and the Hawks could, and they won 122 to 112. So let me get your thoughts on the Grizzlies and the Hawks game.
Uh, when it comes to the Grizzlies, I say this: you immediately see the impact that John Morant has on that team when he's on and off the floor. Um, I don't focus on analytics that much or whatsoever, but they talked about something about when Ja Morant's on the floor, the team plays at a faster, higher pace. They get better shots, and they also is they're plus. They're highly in a plus area when it comes to a plus minus situation. But the moment Ja Morant hits off the floor, their offense stagnates. They can't really get much, and then you can see that, and then that puts a lot of pressure on Ja Morant to have to do much more for that team. So that's how valuable Ja Morant is for that team when you look at it from that standpoint. But it was still a ground out game between the two until that last moment. Kyle Anderson was doing this thing. Dylan Brooks was doing it on both ends of the floor. It was just like, but it was just like outside of those two, it wasn't really much you could say about the rest in a way. It was just Joe Three who was making up, but it was mostly John Morant. So that's on the Grizzlies' essence. But it was a good, but they grounded it out though. They grounded it out. Don't get me wrong. And on the Hawks, they had more of like for me, I'm gonna say at the end, it was all Trey Young. Trey Young, it was all at the end for Trey Young. Trey Young was going
Yeah.
wild in that last quarter. And this, mind you, this is the last 5 minutes of the game, and he's closing it out. He's showing you why he's at this young of an age, why he's the best clutch performer in the game right now.
You saw the
So,
little fake through the
mhm.
legs behind the
Yep,
back.
yes, I
Yeah, pull
did.
up footage. Put up footage.
Nah, yeah, he was doing that. He was doing all that, and then he made sure to close out this game to make sure that he secured the win. And Kevin Herter, wait, did I say his last name correctly? Herter.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, he was what they call it, like the rocket launcher. Yeah,
Yeah, he was
yeah,
pulling.
yeah. He was pulling up. He couldn't miss. He was all over that 3 point line shooting. I know for a fact that he finally missed the shot like in that third quarter. That was his first miss, but he had it going too. And like it was also like a team effort. Hunter contributed. I wish Cam Reddish one did a little bit more. Collins kind of did a little bit more, but it was a whole team effort. But Bogdanovich need to stop rushing up, shooting up threes. That's the common thing. But outside of
Mhm.
that, it was a good win by the Hawks for sure.
Yeah, a really good win by the Hawks. And Trey Young, we can't say much about him. First game against the Bulls, he had what I think like 27 in the first half.
Yeah,
Finished the game with 37. Now, last night he had 36. He's just been balling.
yeah,
Just been balling, and he we could have said he's one of players to look out for because he's coming off of an All-Star year last year, and now he's got a better team. So
exactly.
now he can lead that team to the playoffs. He is their best player. He is their most skilled player. His ball handling is just it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, like sometimes you see like he plays street ball a lot. he watched a lot of tape on Jason Williams. You can see.
yeah. Well, a lot of players play street ball in the way now. To be honest.
I'm talking about the street ball where it's just all handles and crazy stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
The Kyrie street ball, the AI street ball, the Jason Williams street ball. But not too much Jason Williams, otherwise you get kicked off the team.
You just couldn't hold that in. Like, couldn't
Nah, Jason Williams is a great player. We all know the white chocolate. Come on.
you?
But yeah, Trey Young, he's a star. He's a bright spot for Atlanta Hawks, and wherever he can take them, however far he wants to take them.
Yeah,
That's how good he is, and that's what he can do for this franchise.
yeah. He's that talented.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the duel between him and John Morant was legendary. I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. John got frustrated at that last moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the layup, and he felt like that shot gonna call. But hey, you can't always get that. You know how the refs are. So
Yep. Well, that was a good game between two bright stars of the NBA come near the future.
yeah,
All right. Was there anything that you noticed? Any players that you saw at the breakout performances? Any teams? Any great games? Anything that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about that Spurs versus Raptors game. There's two things I noticed. Right, the length of the Toronto Raptors defensively bothered the hell out of the Spurs. Boucher, Siakam, and Anobi, like they was all like the Raptors defense in general was just hounding the Spurs. But you want to know why the Spurs pulled it out? Because of one man, DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan was hitting shot after shot after shot, footwork, mid range, fadeaway. He just had it going on, and along with the fact he helped his team click to get that win. And this is what I'm talking about. He's still one of the, mind you, you guys like to clown him, talking about his past situation, talking about the fact he can't shoot the three, but he's still one of the most dangerous elite scorers in the game off the fact that he's doing everything inside the 3-point line. Had a 27-point game. Mind you, I think most of he scored those last four buckets within those closing moments of the game just to get San Antonio to win. Put some respect on his name. That's all I gotta say. Put some respect on his name. I gotta stop.
Oh yeah, he's a great player. We don't know that. He's a great player. He's an elite scorer. So I'm not gonna hate. Not today.
You can't hate. Of course you can't hate.
Yeah, that was a good win by the Spurs. It's always nice to see the Spurs win because I have a ton of respect for the Spurs and the Greg Popovich and all that. So that was a good one for the Spurs. Something that I wanted to talk about was it was a double overtime game between the Pistons and the Cavs, and that was a really fun, good, entertaining game. The Pistons had the lead with 2 minutes left in OT. They were up by 9, but as the Pistons do, they choke. So of course they blew the lead. Colin Sexton made a lot of great plays, whether it was attacking or making the right pass, and they tied the game, sent it back to overtime, and then they just ran double overtime. Then they just ran away with it. And Colin Sexton, he has a bright future ahead. He really does have a bright future ahead. He's really skilled. He's a really good young player. He's good defensively. He can score at will in the paint. Like his potential, he can go far. He can go far.
Yeah, look, he's already established himself as a young scorer, as a young talented scorer. But when you got guys, especially that play the same position that you playing in the league, who's around your age, like Trey Young, John Morant, and others, like you can't get much spotlight, you can't get much attention, especially the fact you play in Cleveland. Let's not even talk about that. So it's just like it's hard, but we know the talent that he is, and it just goes to show you that if Cleveland could become relevant, he's going to be one of the main reasons to why.
Yeah, and also Darius Garland too. He's a good, nice young player as well. But Colin Sexton is the star player of that team. He's the best player on that team. Also I wanted to talk about. Do you see the Hornets? Do you just get to see the Hornets in the Thunder game?
I saw the last moment.
I saw Miles Bridges just lighting it up from 3. He made like 3 straight threes and then tied the game. And then Shai said, nah.
Nah, the move that he did to get open, though, that was beautiful. I'm not going to lie. He was coming down the court. And you could see that his thought process was to get to the basket. And then he did that cross. And he was like, yeah, forget it. I don't need to go to the basket anymore. Stepped it back.
Put up the village. Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If anybody doesn't know who he is, check him out. Plays on the Thunder. He's a shooting guard, and he's their best player. You could tell he learned a lot from CP3 last year playing with him. Kind of took him under his wing. And now it's just time for him to show off. It's time for him to show how good he is or how good he can be, how good he will be.
Yeah.
But yeah. We forgot to talk about the 76ers and the Knicks, but we all forget about the Knicks, so who really cares?
Let's give them some credit. In the beginning, Julius Randle, Alex Burks did good.
In the beginning.
And then the Knicks became what we know the Knicks to be.
I don't want to talk about the Knicks. They just upset me. But we can talk about the 76ers.
Yeah, we can.
Joel Embiid doing what Joel Embiid does. Dominant, posting up, doing everything he could.
Look, you could see we're getting these shooters now. Get rid of the size and getting these shooters on their team. It feels so much more better for the 76ers. They look more like what we saw before they got rid of their shooters. Like,
Yes.
The feeling, the touch, the space, it feels good to them. Now they could play that way of like, needing to be explosive, but also needing to know when not to rely on using the paint so much. They could make an advantage out of that, and you could see it big time. Seth Curry, he was raining from the three. Um, I know Danny Green, even though he has been getting a lot of bad flack from past times, like he hit a couple of good shots. Like this team and Ben Simmons was passing the hell out of that ball. So it was the 76ers look good. They look good right now. But we need to see how they do it, how they do progressing throughout the season. But they look so far, they look good.
Briefly about the Knicks. RJ Barrett, he was really struggling. He was really struggling. Uh, we've seen this a lot. I've seen this a lot from him last year. Where he has a good game like he had against Indiana, where he scored 20 and didn't miss a shot in the first half. And then he comes back and he has a bad game. And he's sometimes so inconsistent. And he's supposed to be, the future of the Knicks.
Exactly.
So he really needs to get better at that. He really does. Julius Randle did have a good game, however.
Yeah.
But the Knicks overall, they were just sloppy. So sloppy that Reggie Bullock had two numbers. Put up the footage.
Nah, for real.
He had number 25 on the front of his jersey. And then you saw on the back, he had number 23.
Yeah. Look, I'll say this about the Knicks. I'll give you a bright spot, right? Their young core is really good, actually. Believe it or not, they're really good. DSJ, Kevin Knox, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. Like they have a really good young core. And I feel like Tom Thibodeau is going to do wonders for that team as being their leader in terms of being the head coach. But again, it's just the organization, bro. That organization.
It's just James Dolan. It's just James Dolan.
Mind you, it's all coming from. Mind you, he's nowhere near on the court, and it's all coming from him. And yet, look at how bad that he's making their culture, bro.
But nonetheless, I still do have faith in Tom Thibodeau and what he can do with the Knicks. He's good. He's been good with young players throughout his whole career. So we'll see how he can help the Knicks and their young pieces develop. Predictions for tonight's games. There are probably a good amount of games for tonight. So let's get right into it. Rapid fire, y'all. All right, first good one, rematch of the first round of the last year's Western Conference first round. Clippers and the Mavericks.
Clippers.
I got the Clippers as well. Nets and the Hornets.
Oh yeah, this is most definitely going to the Nets.
Yeah, I got the Hornets. I'm playing. I got the Nets. The Magic and the Wizards again.
I feel like the Wizards are going to bounce back.
I got the Magic. I got the Magic. Hey, I got the Magic. The last podcast, and they won 2-0. By the way, my Orlando Magic. That's my new team. Spurs or the Pelicans?
Pelicans. I feel like DeMar's going to ball out though.
I got the Pelicans as well. 76ers or the Cavs?
Sixers
as well. Knicks or the Bucks?
Bucks.
Celtics or the Pacers?
Pacers. The Pacers have been playing really well so far. So
but I have the Celtics. I think they have to bounce back from Christmas Day loss.
Yeah.
Golden State Warriors or the Bulls?
Bulls.
You have no faith in the Warriors? They lost to 2 Eastern Conference elites. I'm not going to do that to them. I think they get their first win. Tonight.
No, okay, yeah. I changed my mind. Warriors. Okay. I got the
Warriors. Suns and the Kings again. Back-to-back games.
Suns this time.
I have the Suns as well. And lastly, the Lakers or the Timberwolves?
Lakers.
I got the Timberwolves. They've been playing really good.
I know they have. That's the reason why I won't go against you with that. Because I know you want to pick. If they were doing bad, then you want to pick the Lakers. I knew that for a fact.
Don't do that. I don't hate the Timberwolves. I never have.
The third stringers hated them. Their stringers hated them.
And Jimmy Butler hates them.
Well, like Jimmy Butler hates them.
But nonetheless, now I think it's time to wrap things up. Is there any final thoughts about tonight's games, last night games, or anything else in general?
Just quick thing about that that Kings win against the Suns. Just know De'Aaron Fox is on a mission, especially after what I don't even know what his name said, but he's on a mission because that was highly disrespectful. That's all.
For anybody who doesn't know, one media analyst on ESPN had stated that John Morant, the star player of the Grizzlies, is what De'Aaron Fox thinks he is.
Yeah, thinks he is or wants to be. That's what he said.
Which is incredibly disrespectful because De'Aaron Fox is better, in my opinion, than John Morant is.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong, John Morant could be better. But as of right now, De'Aaron Fox got it.
But that's even if you think John Morant is better than De'Aaron Fox, that's so disrespectful the way he's
exactly. Like it had nothing to do with De'Aaron Fox at all. It had nothing to do with the dude. And he just brought him up into the conversation like it was nothing. Mind you, I can understand if it was in a respectful way, but he just included him in the way he said it. It was just like, what was the purpose of doing that?
Yeah.
He just looked like a lame. To be honest.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Yeah, but like I said, Magic got a good win again against the Wizards. And I like to mention Bradley Beal still balling out in the losses. He had 39 this game. Mm-hmm. Last game before that, he had 31. Russell Westbrook still had triple-double, but they just need to get all that together to form a win.
Yeah, that's all that it is. It takes time. You can't when you change teams or like when new teams get structured, just like it takes time to get a flow or get something going. It's not going to be like how the Nets are, really. You know what I mean? You just need some time. So I still got faith. I feel like that's the reason why I say I feel like they're going to bounce back in this up and coming game.
Yep, I agree. I don't agree with the bouncing back in this game, but I do agree that they can get it together in the future and hopefully form a good team, good enough to make it to the playoffs. But the Magic has been balling the past two games. They've been looking good. Vucevic has been playing well with Aaron Gordon. Markelle Fultz has been playing really good. Ever since he actually got to the Magic, he's playing really good.
Wow, yeah.
But I'm going to keep an eye on the Magic to see how well they actually are.
They're still going to be in the 7th seed, 8th seed, and lose in the first round.
After winning one playoff game. It's the first one. They've done for the past 2 years.
All right. So you really think they beat the Nets? They going to be, well, they could beat the Bucks just in one game and then, lose again. Or, they could beat the Raptors in one game and just lose again. It's nothing different. No disrespect.
All right, well, nonetheless, now I think it's time to officially end this podcast, this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you tune into tomorrow's podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And once again, I am Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this was the M.O.B Basketball Podcast.